General Hospital spoilers tease that something dark is brewing in Port Charles, and the storm begins far from General Hospital itself. At the luxurious yet secluded Five Poppies Resort, Britt Westbourne finds herself sitting across from a man who should never have found her. Pascal, portrayed with unnerving intensity by Mark Forget, exudes an energy that suggests danger cloaked in charm. Their meeting had not been scheduled, not by Britt, at least, but Pascal arrives with intent, and the familiarity between them is instantly troubling. Their conversation starts in hushed tones, laced with a tension that vibrates beneath every word, but it doesn't take long before their words become sharper, accusations fly, and the past they've buried claws its way to the surface. Pascal presses her with questions about loyalty, about her true motivations, about a plan she seems reluctant to continue. Britt, poised yet defensive, hints at regrets and a life she's tried to rebuild far from this shadowy operation. But Pascal isn't just here for closure, he's here for control. Just as their voices rise, drawing unwanted attention, Jason Morgan, ever the guardian angel lurking in the wrong place at the right time, here's the exchange. Jason had been tracking irregularities in a new organization creeping into Port Charles, one with ties to the Cassadines and potentially the Wu family. When he realizes Britt is involved, his instincts take over. He storms in just as Pascal grabs Britt's wrist in a motion both threatening and desperate. Jason acts fast, pulling Pascal away and placing himself between them. Before he can question Britt or confront Pascal, another figure steps out of the shadows, Jocelyn Jacques. She's been trailing someone herself, investigating what she thought were suspicious financial transactions connected to a student organization she suspects has ties to a criminal enterprise. Her appearance stuns Jason. Why was Jocelyn here? Who was she following? And how deep was she already involved? The confrontation fractures into chaos. Pascal vanishes in the distraction, and Britt, clearly shaken, won't answer any of Jason's questions. Jason is furious, but Britt looks at him with something bordering on pity. "You think I need saving," she whispers, "but you don't know who you're dealing with anymore." This marks Kelly Thibault's return to the screen in full force, her presence electric and layered with secrets. Britt is alive, very much changed, and clearly entangled in a network more dangerous than before. Rumors swirl that she's working for someone, perhaps even with Pascal, but the hierarchy is unclear. What is clear, however, is that Britt is not a pawn anymore. She's playing her own game now, and she may have already sacrificed her soul to do it. Meanwhile, across town, another face begins to appear more frequently at General Hospital and on the streets of Port Charles, Jack Brennan. Chris McKenna's portrayal brings subtle menace and veiled charisma to the role, reintroducing Brennan as not just a former threat but a current, calculated force. His appearances start innocuously enough. He's seen meeting with investors, consulting with legal firms, even visiting patients under the guise of philanthropy. But there are whispers. People remember his past, the chaos, the manipulation, the people who disappeared after aligning with him. It's not long before Brennan's name becomes central in police briefings and hushed conversations at the PCPD. He's building something, and the city feels it. When Jordan Ashford tries to follow his money trail, it leads nowhere, vanishing into shell companies and foreign accounts. What's worse, when she interviews those who've recently interacted with him, many claim to feel safe in his presence. This unnatural loyalty, this eerie trust, feels cultivated. Brennan and Pascal may or may not be connected, but their simultaneous emergence signals something brewing on a higher level. Could Britt be the thread tying them both together? Or is she merely one of many being used by a new power? At the same time, tension builds between Danny Morgan and Dante Falconeri. What begins as a minor disagreement quickly escalates into a full-blown rivalry. Danny has grown into a headstrong and emotionally guarded young man, shaped by the shadows of both his parents' legacies. He believes Rocco Falconeri is being manipulated by his father, Dante, and that the younger boy is being pulled into a system of authority and discipline that stifles who Rocco really is. Danny, who's become something of an underground leader among the youth of Port Charles, sees himself as a liberator. When Rocco begins spending more time with Danny's circle and less time at home, Dante confronts Danny in public, demanding to know what lies he's been feeding his son. Danny, with icy resolve, doesn't back down. "Maybe Rocco finally sees you for what you are," he tells Dante, a man too loyal to rules to see the damage he's doing. The conflict sends ripples through both families. Sam McCall fears that Danny is becoming what she fought so hard to prevent. Jason, now grappling with Britt's return and his own shadows, can't intervene like he once would have. And Lulu, still recovering, still fragile, watches as her son is pulled further from her. But the darkness doesn't end there. Christina Corinthos Davis, long plagued by internal battles and external pressure from her powerful family, begins to spiral. She's involved in something she can't confess to her father, to Alexis, or even to Molly. She's grown increasingly secretive, her behavior erratic. When she misses a family dinner and then fails to show up for work the next day, Alexis grows concerned. Sunny, though occupied with another looming turf war, senses something is deeply wrong. Then she vanishes. Her phone is found on the floor of her apartment, shattered. The last text she sent was to Cody Bell, though it's incomplete. It reads only, "Cody, I think Ava knows." The disappearance is sudden, jarring, and possibly permanent. Speculation runs rampant. Was she kidnapped? Killed? Or did she run, leaving behind her identity to escape something she helped create? It's a perfect storm for an actress exit. Kate Monsi's departure becomes a narrative cliffhanger. Theories emerge. Christina may have been silenced for knowing too much, or perhaps she turned herself in to protect someone else. The truth, for now, remains hidden. As for Cody Bell, played by Josh Kelly, the noose around his neck tightens. He's been acting nervously for weeks, glancing over his shoulder, avoiding Sunny's eye. His interactions with Ava Jerome have been strained, awkward, and brittle. Ava, no stranger to betrayal, has begun putting the pieces together. The timing of Christina's disappearance, Cody's previous lies, and the strange coincidences that follow him like shadows. It's Ava who makes the first move. She invites Cody to the gallery under the pretense of reconciling. The air is cool, the lights dim, and champagne glitters in tall glasses. But Ava isn't there to talk. She confronts him with evidence, text messages, surveillance footage, even a letter Christina had apparently written but never sent. She knows Cody was manipulating her. And she believes it was all part of Christina's plan, one that may have gone too far. Cody denies it at first, but Ava sees the truth in his eyes. The final moment of the scene is silence. Then, a gunshot. Whether Cody lives or dies remains unseen. But one thing is certain. Ava will not be used again. Not by Cody. Not by Christina. And not by whatever unseen force has begun to spin its web across Port Charles. As the investigation into Christina's disappearance deepens, Alexis Davis becomes increasingly desperate. Her instinct as both a mother and an attorney tells her this is more than just a missing persons case. She pressures the police to act faster, to dig deeper, especially into Cody Bell, whose involvement now seems undeniable. But Jordan Ashford informs her that there's no body, no confession, no conclusive evidence, only suspicion. That doesn't sit well with Sonny Corinthos, who takes matters into his own hands. He assigns Brick to look into every corner of Christina's recent activities. What he finds sends a chill down Sonny's spine. Christina had accessed files from one of Sonny's private accounts, one's linked to a financial shell company that hadn't been used in years. Christina had been digging into her father's world and may have uncovered something she wasn't supposed to see. Meanwhile, Britt Westbourne reappears in Port Charles under heavy scrutiny. The hospital is abuzz with rumors. Some say she was never really gone, just in hiding. Others believe she was forced into the criminal underworld and now carries a debt she can never repay. Britt doesn't confirm or deny anything. She returns to General Hospital quietly, slipping into her former role with surprising ease, but it's clear to her colleagues, especially Elizabeth and Epiphany, that Britt is haunted. She avoids conversations, flinches at sudden noises, and rarely speaks about what happened during her time away. The only person she seems remotely comfortable with is Jason Morgan, who confronts her multiple times about her connection to Pascal and any lingering ties to a larger organization. Britt finally admits that she had been coerced into working for a powerful figure. Someone with global influence who is now targeting Port Charles through its most vulnerable veins, its people, its institutions, and its secrets.
Pascal's name resurfaces again, this time whispered in relation to Jack Brennan. An anonymous informant tells Anna Devane that Brennan and Pascal once worked under the same syndicate, their paths diverging only after a bloody power struggle overseas. Brennan had disappeared afterward, presumed dead or imprisoned. But now he's here, buying property, making alliances, even offering funding for a new pediatric wing at the hospital. His public image is flawless, but something about him sets Anna on edge. She reaches out to Jason and they begin an uneasy alliance. Together, they discover that Brennan is the architect behind a silent acquisition of influence in Port Charles. He's not just infiltrating the city through business, he's targeting families, relationships, control. And it's working. In the midst of the growing darkness, Dante Falconeri continues to lose ground with his son. Rocco avoids coming home, using vague excuses and sudden disappearances to dodge both Dante and Lulu. When Dante confronts Danny again, this time outside Kelly's diner, the exchange turns physical. Danny warns Dante to back off, accusing him of using police power to control people. Dante arrests Danny in a moment of rage, which backfires spectacularly when the press gets wind of it. Sam McCall explodes in fury. She storms into the PCPD demanding her son's release. The Falconeri and Morgan families begin to fracture publicly, and it becomes clear that Rocco's allegiance is no longer with his father. Dante's grip loosens further when he learns from Spinelli that Rocco has been messaging someone under a pseudonym linked to a private server, one also used by Christina in the weeks leading to her disappearance. The connection is undeniable. Whatever had consumed Christina is now spreading, reaching the younger generation, warping their sense of trust and control. Dante suspects that someone, likely Brennan, is orchestrating a kind of ideological recruitment, convincing the youth of Port Charles that rebellion is the only way forward. The plan is subtle, insidious, and effective. Elsewhere, Ava Jerome is unraveling. After the confrontation with Cody Bell, she vanishes for a few days. When she returns, her demeanor is colder, harder. She doesn't answer anyone's questions, not even Trina's. The police find no evidence of a shooting at the gallery, no blood, no body. Ava claims Cody left town after their final argument, and no one can prove otherwise. Sonny, however, doesn't believe her. He knows Ava well enough to recognize the signs of a woman who's killed in self-defense and buried the truth. But he also knows Ava won't talk, not unless she's cornered. He keeps her close, offering her protection, hoping she'll crack before Brennan or Pascal retaliate. What neither of them know is that Ava may have taken something from Cody, something damning, a hard drive or dossier, something Christina had trusted him with before she disappeared. Whatever it is, Ava is keeping it hidden, perhaps even from herself. As paranoia mounts, Jocelyn Jacks begins to investigate on her own. After her encounter at Five Poppies, she starts to notice odd patterns among her peers. Certain students at her university have stopped attending classes, begun speaking in vague platitudes about freedom, community, and the awakening. One of them gives her a flyer, no name, no logo, just a time, date, and coordinates. Against her better judgment, she goes. What she finds is a warehouse gathering, part motivational meeting, part indoctrination ceremony. Pascal is there. So is Rocco. And others she recognizes from town, from the hospital, from school. They're not violent. Not yet. But they're being primed. Led. Trained. Jocelyn records everything and sends it to Jason. He watches the footage in grim silence. What they're seeing isn't just a cult or a social movement. It's a full-scale operation. And it's growing fast. Britt, when shown the footage, turns pale. She confirms that this is part of the network she had tried to escape. These aren't just foot soldiers, they're future operatives. Sleeper agents trained to destabilize Port Charles from the inside out. It's the same playbook she saw being used in Europe. It always ends in violence. Brennan finally makes his move publicly. He offers to fund a new youth center in the name of Christina Corinthos Davis. The audacity of it stuns everyone. Alexis calls it a mockery, but Brennan calmly tells the press that Christina believed in change, in youth empowerment, and this is the best way to honor her. The public eats it up.
Only those closest to her see the manipulation for what it is.
Sonny issues a warning to Brennan.
"You're playing a dangerous game in my town," he says. Brennan simply smiles and replies, "I'm not playing, Sonny.
I'm winning."
Behind the scenes, Danny begins reaching out to Rocco in secret, warning him that they've both been manipulated. His tone has changed.
Danny now understands he's been used as a symbol of rebellion by people with darker motives. He tries to convince Rocco to walk away before it's too late. But Rocco is too far gone. He believes Brennan is building something better than what their parents created.
That the old ways, Sonny's empire, Dante's badge, Lulu's morality, no longer work. He tells Danny to either join or step aside.
The final scene is quiet, tense, and foreboding.
Jason and Britt stand on the rooftop of General Hospital, watching the city lights flicker. Below them, chaos brews.
Jason knows war is coming.
Britt knows the organization she once worked for will stop at nothing.
And neither of them can save everyone.
In the shadows, Pascal watches them from a neighboring building. He speaks into a phone with a smirk. They still think this is about Port Charles.
They have no idea what's coming next. The night falls heavy over the city. And the storm that began in whispers is about to roar.